Today, I guess, there's somewhat of a theme amassing. And that is me talking about people I admire and their rhetorical ability. Their ability to use a brief moment in front of the camera and turn it into something special, something viral, something that I would want to bring to you. And that is what took place yesterday with Jamie Raskin standing right next to James Comer, doofus extraordinaire James Comer, on Fox News. It's one thing when these moments happen on MSNBC or CNN or a host of other networks, but when it happens in the belly of the beast on Fox News, the propaganda outlet, the propaganda disseminator that oftentimes is the only glimpse of reality that could possibly be in the front of a Fox News viewer, is when a Democrat goes on there. It's a big moment. So Jamie Raskin, first, this one's just great. They're asking him a question, and he goes off on this on this hilarious jag about how the Biden investigation. He thanks James Comer for ultimately exonerating President Biden from the scurrilous charges that were leveled against him. There is something I want to talk about. Maybe I'll talk about it after the clip, but that's just that this is going to go away now. This fast and furious and super important investigation that was underway by Republicans was nothing but a reputation destroyer. It was an attempt to bring down the chances of a re-election for Joe Biden. It had nothing to do with actual crimes or actual corruption at all. They never got to anything. So maybe I'm talking about before the clip, but that's what it was about. And now, just mark my words, it's just gonna evaporate into the ether now that Joe Biden is no longer the nominee, no longer running for president of the United States for a second term. Anyway, watch this from Jamie Raskin. It's a banger.
I'll just say, well, I think Chairman Comer did a magnificent job exonerating Joe Biden of all the fraudulent charges that were raised against him in this Congress. And of course, there was no high crime, no misdemeanor. And Joe Biden is a passionate public servant filled with integrity.
Nobody's buying that. Nobody's buying what he's selling on that.
America's buying it. The reservoir of love for Joe Biden is deep and really bottomless in America.
You do disagree on a lot of things, as we can point out.
Nobody's buying that. Are you high, James Comer? Everybody knows except for the most MAGA, blindfolded, and faithful that this was a fraud. This was a hoax. This was but an exercise in worship for Donald Trump. It was obstruction for the sake of Donald Trump's campaign. That's all this was. And the fact that it's gonna go away, it's going to dissolve, hearings are going to slow down or stop altogether, is evidence of it. I said this months and months ago, maybe over a year ago, that this will ultimately lead to no charges, no indictments, no criminal referrals. It will go nowhere. And they knew it. They knew it. However, in the case of other Democratic Party-led investigations, when they were in charge of the House, when they had the majority in the House, there were actual criminal referrals relative to January 6th. There was actual action taken. There was actually a legislative motivation behind those hearings. Not for Republicans. It's just Benghazi. It's just another one of those that is just a distraction from them actually doing their jobs. I don't think they know exactly what their job is. I think that they believe they are put in office, elected by a constituency to create chaos and sow discord and slow the wheels of government to a grinding halt where nothing gets done, including paying our bills and the interest on our debt. These people are just agents of chaos. Here's a second moment, a little bit more serious, although this was great because it outed James Comer as an absolute dipshit. But this one is talking about the narrative that you're going to be hearing from Fox News and Newsmax and OAN and every Republican who can get a microphone and a camera on them. And that is that it's an anti-democratic process that Kamala Harris will be named the nominee. even though there will be delegates. And Jamie Raskin explains it. But it is rich, is it not, that the Republican Party that attempted to overthrow the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair election in 2021 with the insurrection against the country, that they are now champions of democracy. Wait, everyone. What about democracy? Even though we're a constitutional republic, I thought. But now you got Mike Johnson whining about democracy. You got Donald Trump whining about democracy. You got his dopey kids whining about democracy. Why don't you worry about you? The Democratic Party will name our nominee on our own terms. We don't need you giving us lessons in democracy, you assholes. Watch Jamie Raskin be far more diplomatic than me talking about this very thing.
So now she is likely the nominee in Chicago. Do you think this process is okay with most Democrats, that there hasn't been voting for Vice President Harris?
Well, of course it is, because 14 million people voted for Joe Biden and for Kamala Harris for president and vice president. And obviously we expressed our full confidence in her when we elected her, elected her to be vice president originally. So we've been totally behind her, and our party is completely unified. The real question, of course, is over on the GOP side of the aisle, where the former vice president isn't even supporting Donald Trump anymore. Mike Pence said he's not supporting him. That was the breakneck speed, the speed with which Mike Pence got dropped. People were talking about hanging him, and then they stuck in J.D. Vance. Yeah. Instead, a guy who said that Donald Trump could be America's next Hitler. So that's the breakneck speed. That's the amazing turnaround.
You could only do common ground so long. And then, Mr. Chairman.
Little shitty dig there at the end from Brett Baer, famously a Mar-a-Lago attendee, a real pal of Donald Trump. Fucking gross over there. Look, this again is just subterfuge. This is just a distraction. The Democratic Party has mechanisms by which they will name the nominee. There will be a vote at the convention. That's what the convention's for. That's why for months they've said the presumptive nominee, Joe Biden, not the nominee, because it doesn't take place until the convention. So all of this is just hand-wringing for hand-wringing's sake, to give Fox News a few minutes to fill during their hours of propaganda in the 24/7 news cycle. That's what it is. And having James Comer there, who barely opens up his stupid suck, what's the point? Anyway, I would love to know what you think. I would love to live in Jamie Raskin's district, which is just north of where I live, here in Washington, D.C. He's in Maryland, on the border. Alas, though, I live in the Washington District of Columbia, where I have no congressional representation at all. The same reason we ostensibly fought a revolution to extricate ourselves from the crown of Britain, I'm living under the yoke of now. A lot of people, oh, you chose to live there. Yeah, it's still America. It's still the constitutional republic the Republicans have a fever dream about. Anyway, what do you think? I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. If you live in Jamie Raskin's district, I'd love to hear from you. You count yourself among the lucky, have an actual productive member of Congress working for you. You can call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Please consider supporting the work, helping me make these videos. Click the join button below for $2 a month. You can become a channel member, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I'm on social media at Dollemore. I always want to say that for some reason, even though it's a veritable nightmare out there on social media. If you want to follow me, that's where I am, at Dollemore. Anyway, I will see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.